Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Do you want to hear a story? I'm not letting go.
Are you ready for this?
Follow your heart. I'm going in. This is
Blockbuster Punch-Up.
Welcome to Blockbuster Punch-Up. This is episode 12. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and film enthusiast, Todd G. Levin.
Hello!
Hello, Todd.
Hello!
How are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
How is the local town, and how is scaring off werewolves and trolls?
It's great!
Isn't that what that guy does?
That's what the guy that
He
yells?
stands at the front of the town and he scares off like
Is
local
who that
animals.
Was?
And
who
just
that was? It was the yelling man?
Yeah, he's the yelling man, right?
He just stands in front of the town.
He's the one who opens like the tiny door at the front of the town. Just like, who is it? Who's out there? Are you a troll? Are you a werewolf?
He's not
Get out of
quite
here.
tall enough to reach the hole. He has to stand on like a few...
Of course.
What's a medieval phone book? A rock?
A rock. Yeah. They were arrived there immediately.
Yeah,
guys. So we're here to talk to you about a film. A film.
Yes, a film.
It is a film. That's true.
That is correct.
And it is
fact number one.
It is about dreamscapes and messing with your brain and convoluted storylines.
Yes.
This is a film called Inception.
Inception. Wow! That is my impression of a bear.
Oh, that's a great impression.
And also Hans Zimmer's score for Inception.
Is that the North American Grizzly?
That was the North American Grizzly or Hans Zimmer's score for Inception. This would be a fun game to play with strangers on the street. Is this a North American bear?
Is this a North
or
American
Hans
Grizzly?
Zimmer scoring?
Or a Hans Zimmer?
Wow!
I feel like we've invented a new game segment here.
Peruvian black bear? No, it's
that was
Hans Zimmer's score.
That was Interstellar. You got me.
Got me on that one.
We are way off course.
I think we're close.
We're pretty close.
Yeah.
Just like, nope, that doesn't tie back at all.
Yeah, all right.
Anyways, so guys, Inception.
Inception.
So, this was a movie that was going to be a really big deal.
Akin to, what we did with Man of Steel and Pacific Rim, we wanted to highlight movies from the last few years in this new era that we find ourselves in that were primed to be really cool concepts, or a new take on Superman, or monsters vs. robots, and this
just
movie
like a gold standard for blockbusters.
For what a blockbuster, we all know the old favorites, we all know what those are, but we need new ones.
We do.
We can't just keep remaking them.
Yeah.
We have to create completely new ones so that the next generation can have them, and so Inception was this movie, and to a lot of people is this movie. A lot of people really, really like Inception. If you are one of these people, and we're about to do a podcast called Blockbuster Punch-Up on your favorite movie, you might want to turn off the podcast.
Right, and we're not here to, again, maim or horribly rip into Inception.
Yes.
The whole point of this show is this movie had a lot of amazing stuff, but it just didn't do very well with it. That's not complete grammar, but...
Conceptually, it was, actually. Conceptually, the movie itself is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. A great concept does not a good movie make.
Exactly.
What we would like to do, if you will come along with us, dear listeners...
If you would, and we promise to be very fair. What we'll do then is that's going to take us right into our standard recap, but we're going to try something a little bit fun, a little bit different this episode.
We're going to do a speed cap, because this thing is so convoluted.
So, oh my god, yeah, if we sat here, it'd be like reading through a textbook.
And you would be so bored. So what we're going to try to do is speed through this recap, and hopefully we hit all of the things that...
The beats.
Yeah, the beats, the things that
we might miss
need.
That, we won't say that the numbers in the hotel rooms match the code that he opened a safe with. We're not going to cover that stuff, but we'll try to get the important beats. So, Todd, please kick us off with our speed cap.
Okay. The world of Inception is about dream sharing, and people use dream sharing in this world to enact corporate espionage on other people for some reason, because that's the only thing that you could do with dream sharing. And there is a man, and what does he do?
This man is named Cobb. Now, he's played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and this man is an extractor. He goes into dreams of, corporate leaders, and he steals their dirty secrets and uses it for this corporate espionage.
That's right.
But for some reason, he cannot return to the United States. Was it murder? Probably. Was it for a lot of corporate espionage? Not so much as the murder. But he cannot return, so Cobb is in a predicament. He must find a very powerful man by accident who will have the exact requirements to get him back into the United States.
And this man is a Japanese businessman who wants to incept the idea that his competitor's son should fold the company once his competitor eventually meets his demise because he is quite ill. But before he does that, he needs
to get on a plane with his crew. He forms a crew with Tom Hardy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ellen Page, Michael Caine makes an appearance, who cares? They're all on the plane. So they're on the plane, they go into what begins our inceptioning. So they are going into levels of dreams. The first level is like a city, like most people's
They're
dreams.
driving, and then there's a train, and
there's a train,
they
and-
rent a minivan, and they're driving off of bridges in the minivan.
And then they incept further, and then they're going into a dream where they're like in a hotel.
They're on a hotel, and they need to be in this hotel for some reason. And then they go further into the set of The Spy Who Loved Me, the James Bond film from the 60s. And there's a big fortress with people that are like on skis and camouflage with lots of guns, and they need to get inside the fortress and incept the information from the safe behind the dead man.
It all makes sense at this point. So,
But unfortunately
for our heroes and our team, who, of course, they are our heroes, they are forcing a man they have never met to give up his own father's legacy. Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio's ex-wife, or should I say dead ex-wife, shows up and kills pretty much the whole team. And they go into what is known as limbo. Now, we've been warned this entire film that limbo is this scary, dark, unforgiving landscape.
Limbo is bad.
It's actually just a place where Cobb's been there before and had a really nice time. It's like Minecraft, I think. It's like Minecraft.
It's kind of like
So
Minecraft.
they're there in Minecraft hanging out, doing their levels, avoiding zombies, and sure enough, they come face to face with Mal. And she's like, I don't like you because I died and I'm a projection of yours, and they somehow figure out that just kind of killing themselves in limbo will get them back up out of limbo. Limbo's a strange place. So
Things explode. Elevator shafts are used as zero to gravity devices.
Kicks are happening.
Cars, minivans are splashing into water, and kicks are like getting us into different levels, back from 3 to 2 to 1.
And now they wake up on the plane. And Todd, how does our movie end?
Our movie ends with our Leonardo DiCaprio character being able to go to the United States and be with his children. Except, is it real? Because we don't know. You know why? We're left to not know because of a dreidel.
Guys, that was our speed cap of Inception, so that's going to take us into our punch-up.
Punch up. Oh, man, I feel like I got whiplash after all that.
I know, it was pretty rough.
After the recap and everything, and before the punch-up, we like to do this thing where we talk about kind of like, what did we like about the film?
Right.
So, Inception, Jay, what did you like about Inception?
I mean, God, the theme of the film is awesome. The visuals are spectacular.
Absolutely. This is the coolest movie I've ever looked at with my eyeballs.
I love the idea of the kick, this idea that, we've
Yeah.
all had this before where you're falling in a dream and it wakes
And
you
it
up.
wakes you up.
And that's something that everybody can relate to from a dream standpoint.
It's something that has to do with a dream that you then take out of our world and insert it as a plot element in this world. Well, that thing that you feel is actually a real thing in the world of people who are dream thieves,
Dream extractors, it's a tool in their arsenal,
Absolutely.
which is awesome.
That's super cool. So what else? The characters are all different to a certain degree. They're interesting. I like the concept of the chemist, the forger, the architect, right? The point man, like all of these kinds of, the things that they all need to be.
Creating a super team for dream thievery.
Right, getting the dream team together. That's like that scene that you want where, I don't know why, but I always think of Armageddon when I think of getting the team together.
It's exactly that same, it's like, we're gonna need these people, and the guy looks at the piece of paper and he goes like, you've gotta be kidding me.
Exactly.
And then goes,
Is that what song it is? It's Back in Black.
And then just like cuts to the guy on the motorcycle, like cops are chasing after him.
That's right. It's a great scene of like getting the team together, and like you're gonna need this guy because he's like this guy.
It's
and you're
Mighty
gonna need this
Ducks.
guy.
You need a cowboy. You need two guys that beat up people. It's forging the team, which is cool.
Right. So I guess I think we've run out of steam on
what
the
we
probe column, unfortunately.
So let's talk a little bit about some things we didn't like.
Okay. The main thing about this movie that bothers me the most is we're introduced to this world where dream sharing is a reality. all the things that have to do with this, that there are thieves that go and traverse this world. There's a word called aneronauts, which is basically a dream explorer. That's an old a word. I think it's like Greek or something.
That's very cool.
I've always wanted to use it, and it's the only movie that you can ever really use it. Okay, so I'm going to use it. These aneronauts, these incredible people, everything about them and the thing that they're doing is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But the only problem is, the only thing about them that's interesting is the fact that they do it. I don't know anything about them.
Not at all.
A friend of mine had this thing after the movie came out, and he was like, "See, here's a good test if the movie worked on a character level. Name me one character's name from the film." And everyone's just like, the guy with the salad guy, Cobb. And that's like the only name that anyone could come up with is Cobb. All the rest of the people, it's just like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, Tom Hardy's character.
Tom Hardy's character, because it's like, describe me a character without saying what they were wearing or what their job was.
Yes. There's nothing that you can, without their title or what they were wearing
Joseph
or what their
Gordon-Levitt,
face is in real life.
Yeah.
You have no idea, who they are, what they do. I know that Ellen Page goes to school. That's not enough.
Yeah. She's an architect, maybe?
She's a student, and she's really excited. That's it. We don't know anything about these people. And I'm sorry, but unless you're making a movie about people that I'm not supposed to care about, and there are those movies. Coen Brothers do it all the time.
Right.
Unless it's a movie like that, I need to care about the character, the people that's populating the story in front of me in order to enjoy the story, however cool the story is.
Oh, yeah.
I need to care, and I need to want to care, and at no point in the movie does it slow down enough to allow me to do that. Even Leonardo DiCaprio's character, we're not really even sure why, upon second and third, and for some people 5 millionth views, they're all like, oh, of course, it's said in the beginning, he, his wife, and he needs to get back to his kids and all that kind of stuff. But I have never met his kids. I have no idea who they are. Where's the scene where, I'm sitting alone with him and he's looking at pictures of his family and I am given a memory or something where...
Or even, a Skype scene of, him talking to his kids. And
Has he ever seen his kids in years? Where are they?
Talks to him on the phone, I think, but we never see them. We never see them together. We never have that moment in the beginning of the movie of, this is wonderful. This father and kids relationship... He needs to get back to that. He needs to get back to his kids. It's
a void in his life, but and here comes the problem. We don't see it. We're just told it. We're told, I need to get back to my kids. I love my kids. I want to get back to my kids. They need me. And then that goes for everybody in the movie.
Absolutely.
Single thing that happens, we are shown what it looks like to go inside of a dream. Okay. But while we're in the dream, we're only explained what's happening, and then after they come out of the dream, the characters are like, what just happened? And then another character, usually Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, has to explain exactly what just happened and catch everyone else up to something that has already been shown and explained, but shown not enough of and explained far too much of.
Oh, yeah. We feel like we're sitting through a class about just dreams in general.
Right.
It's like, I hope you brought your textbooks and your notepads, because now we're going to recap what I just talked about for the final next week.
While going through 7 dream states, it's never giving him a chance to slow down and kind of exist.
Or anyone really to enjoy the fact that, guys, we're going
in a
into
dream.
dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the stuff, they do it in one scene where they start to be like, look, you can bend buildings, and, you can do this kind of crazy stuff. And I'm like, well, that's what dreams kind of feel like. They feel weird and different, and, they're not just a one room. They're kind of strange and odd. And, they don't ever really feel or live in that world. They just kind of tell you about it as you pass it by, essentially.
That's right. So that's one of the main things that's so frustrating about this movie is, for as cool as it looks, I wish that my heart felt the same way that my eyes did.
And that goes into a little bit of what I had an issue with the film.
Yeah.
Was I felt, because we didn't really relate to these characters, there also wasn't really a need for me to kind of worry about them. I also didn't feel like they were ever really too much in danger in the film.
Because they're in dreams, right?
Because they're in dreams, but also like they created this this fake like kind of scary place, limbo. If you die, you'll go to this empty dream space called limbo. Like if you die, it's terrible. Like they have a whole scene basically expositioning my face about how bad limbo is, and then they all go there and it's fine. It's
they go there and like it's not like hell, which is what they were kind of describing, and
it's they said it's like an endless void. There's nothing down there,
right? And the word limbo itself is like a purgatorial kind of state in between the land of the living and the land of the dead, like, you know. But when we're there, it's kind of like it looks exactly like the city, just kind of a shittier version of the city.
Yeah.
So it's you know, it goes back to what you were saying. It's like a story about dreams, and every time we go into a world, with the exception of the James Bond Spy Who Loved Me place, everything is like a cityscape.
Yeah, it's just like
every single one is.
We're outside buildings now. We're inside a cafe. Then we're outside of the James Bond compound.
It's like no one's ever kind of like dreamt of space or standing in a field of like, you know, octopuses
grass that talk to you or something. You know, whatever it is.
Just insane because it's like a dream kind of space. And
just like there was a whole like box. If you imagine just a box of toys for this idea, that's just like, oh, like it's dream thieves and they're going into dreams and like, what can we pull out of this box of toys to put in this movie? They were like, nah, let's put those box of toys aside and let's pick up this old dusty box of Post-it notes and we'll like use that. Like there was just no fun that
it's
they
like
could have had there.
They had this whole box of like the chest. It's like a whole chest of toys, and they took like out the Lincoln logs.
Yeah, basically, this is what we're gonna use. But those have the colors and the lights. No. Fuck those toys.
Those aren't in dreams. Those aren't the stuff of dreams, Jimmy.
A thing to me that was a real miss with this film, since these characters are doing this to get Cobb's children back, I guess, and since we don't know any of them, they have no like, why are these other characters helping Cobb?
Right. They're not. They don't even know that they're helping him. They're doing a job. They're doing a job, which is the coldest and most boring of things. It's cool if like one person is like, I'm just in it for the job, or like, but every single person there has no reason to be there at all except for like they're getting paid, which that is not that does not inspire a whole lot there.
And also to reinforce, these characters are not going in to like stop a bomb or something like that. They're going in to force a guy who we don't even know, who's not evil, by the way. We don't have like an opening scene where Cillian Murphy's character is like drowning a kitten or something. He's just seems like a nice guy who's been belittled by his father for years, and he's inheriting a business, and our main characters are going in to make him destroy this legacy.
And asked to do so by whom? Just his competitor?
Yeah.
A guy who's just like, hey, so like that guy over there, can you just like go and try and convince him to like give up his company? Because like it would be like really good for my company. And
well, by the way, Ken Watanabe, why do you need his company? Aren't you super rich? You own this jet plane. I could always be richer, you know. It's just like, that's your reason, and that's the reason for our characters.
Don't you want your kids to be with you?
And it's really difficult for me to get behind that and really like root for them. Another thing that's really difficult, their competitors in this dreamscape is Leonardo DiCaprio's like crazy dead ex-wife, and that's it.
That's the villain.
There's no villain.
The villain of the movie is Leonardo DiCaprio's subconscious, where his wife his dead wife still exists as a projection. And poor Marion Cotillard, you know, she doesn't really get much to do in that movie except like sulk in a dress next to a window.
That, in my opinion, wraps up one of the biggest problems with the film.
Yes.
The overall for me is, what was the theme, or what was the point of the film? Now, I know that sounds like a really weird open-ended question,
right?
But the idea is, now,
what's it about?
What's it about? Now, Christopher Nolan, were you making a really cool dream thief espionage movie, which is cool?
Is it Mission Impossible?
Is it Mission Impossible
in Dreamworld?
If so, cool, but we didn't exactly get that, because halfway through we started to have this conversation about, well, is it dream or is it reality? Is it are we in reality or are we not in reality?
So is it then like a philosophical?
Is that what the movie's about? Because it seemed like this movie could not decide in what way it was leaning, of what type of film film this is. And because it was trying to do a balancing act, I feel, between a couple different types of films.
Is it a love story between him and his wife?
A film about accepting loss?
Is it a film about accepting loss? Is it a film about him trying to get back to his kids? What movie are we watching?
Exactly. And because there was so many films interlapping into this film, that's why our characters didn't have any screen time to be developed or have personalities or make a joke. Or I don't remember many scenes outside of Tom Hardy, anyone smiling, which is a lot of people, they're like, well, who's your favorite character? Well, I really love Tom Hardy's character. And I believe it's because he actually smiled in a few scenes and was like, I made a joke. And it's like, I like you because you have more range of emotion than these other characters.
All of that, and the fact that we have how many dream states that we go under?
So many damn dream states.
I mean, it's cool. The concept of a dream within a dream is an interesting one, okay? But I kind of have this rule where it's like, when it comes to alternate realities, you can only do it twice.
Right.
More than twice, and you start being like, okay, well, now it loses its luster. It's like showing the monster, right? Mm-hmm. You do it too many times, so it loses its luster, so it's not interesting, and nor is it novel anymore. And two, you start, especially when it comes to reality versus something that's fake, like a dream world, you stop believing in everything that you see.
Exactly.
When it's illusion versus reality, then if you do it more than twice, then I just go, well, none of this is real anyway.
Right.
Which is what we get at the end of the movie when it's like, oh, the whole thing was maybe a dream. And that is a fucking cop-out.
It is.
That's a huge cop-out. And it's just boring.
Yeah.
We saw it coming from a mile away. Oh, maybe it's a dream. Great. How much more powerful would it be if it was 100% real? The one thing I wanted more than anything at the end of this movie, I remember feeling so many conflicted emotions at the end of this film. The one thing that I was like, well, if they do this one thing, then there are things that I can forgive about this movie. This totem, when he spins it, he's with his kids. We've been waiting to get to his kids. We've been told
with these kids,
right? We've been told that these kids are important, and then we get to these kids, and all I wanted was for him to spin that top and know that it was going to fall, walk away, and it falls. And he's home with his kids. What a heartwarming ending to the movie where the person is petrified, where a person is stalked by the memory of his dead wife that he feels like he's convicted of her murder, but he also feels responsible for it. What a comforting ending to know that he is in a reality now that he is back. That bothered me so much.
All right, guys. Well, that's kind of a list of the things we didn't like about the film. So now let's get into the punch-up. So where could we have made some tweaks? Where could this film had gone in a couple different directions?
Well, let's start with this concept. Why are we doing this? Why are we here? Why are we even doing this in the first place?
What is this film about?
What's the point, So we have these people who are dream thieves or whatever, And let's say we have this opening scene, much like it actually happens, where we have this situation and they're trying to get information from this guy, and then it's revealed that it's a dream and they come out of it and we're like, wait a minute, you can go inside people's dreams in this world? That is really, really, really cool. But then after that, the reason that the catalyst, the call to adventure, so to speak, that sets them on the next adventure of why they get the team together and why they're doing this in the first place, I need that to be something that I care about, whether that is something that relates directly to one of the characters or something that in my world is something that is very important enough to risk life and limb to go do. Yeah,
the audience needs to be on board with this adventure. It needs to be, this thing is happening. We all need to be like, oh no, that thing can't happen. You need to stop it, super team. And we need to be on board for that ride. Except what we get is, you gonna go into this guy's mind and make him lose his father's company. We don't even know who he is,
nor do we know who the person who's asking us to do this is.
Right, it's just a reason to do a dream thievery.
Right,
there isn't a real motivator for the team. And there's no real motivator for us to care about the team their success with the film.
Forget the fucking corporate espionage.
Yeah, forget that shit.
Forget that this is in a world. Forget we're in a world where this thing already exists. What if these people invent it?
Sure.
What if this team of people,
No, and maybe they're
MIT scientists,
maybe they're
or
brought in
something.
specifically for things like that. You need something specific like this. Maybe it's government funded. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just them. Who knows?
And they stumble upon something. They're doing some tests on like the psyche and hypnotism or something like that, or REM sleep or something like
Whatever
that.
it is, yeah.
Waking sleep where you can like hypnotize somebody and let them tell you about stuff. They're a bunch of psychologists or something like that, right? And then they discover this thing that they can like enter into someone's head, one of their heads they can enter into. What an interesting journey to go on to figure out like, whoa, like what can we do here? How does it work? What this solves is that because these people all know each other, they always say like in improv scenes, it's always best to start where the two people know each other, because the two characters can like tell us about the other, but it's just easier, especially when you have like 7 characters to introduce.
There's a lot of characters in this film.
Like we talked about Armageddon, they all knew each other because they all worked on the offshore mine.
Right. And there was more than 7 characters, I think, there.
Right. So like, but they all already knew each other, and they're all like, oh, we're getting back into the business, getting the band back together, that whole thing.
They have personalities, they're dynamic, and
they play off each other
in jokes and things like that.
Exactly. So like, what if this is a group of people? So this solves that concept where it's like suddenly we all care about these people because we know that they care about each other,
and they have emotions.
And slowly we're like learning, oh, that's the guy who does this, that's the girl who acts like this or says these kinds of things, or that's what her strengths are and that's his weaknesses and all that kind of stuff. And this is why they work as a team really well together.
Exactly.
So that's like one option.
Now you can take that option. Now you can still take that framework or an experienced team and put it into a situation that we all care about. 2 things. Now, I talked before about what's this film all about. Is it a personal story about what's real and what's not real? Or is it like a big action-y adventure thing? So let's look at 2 possible options.
Okay.
Personal one. Is it about like someone doesn't know if this is real or not? So let's say this team was brought in because maybe someone very high up went in real deep and can't break out of this reality. They can't, someone very important. Now, you can still tie this to a real world thing. Maybe it's somebody with their finger on a button, or someone that's, a doctor that's needed for a procedure, or the president. Who knows? Who cares? Regardless, someone important that has broken from reality and can establish the difference between dream and not reality, and has kind of locked themselves inside their own minds, and they need these guys to come in and help get them out. Then you can have a philosophical movie where this team is going in, and Cobb not only has to convince the character he's going into Inception, he's not only trying to convince him about reality and dreams and things like that, but because of this baggage he carries, he's also convincing himself. And he's also convincing this Mao character. If you want to keep that framework,
if you want to keep that right,
you can do that, but make both of those characters, make Cillian Murphy's character, if this is the one you're going to the mine, and Cobb's, both be dealing with a similar arc. They're both, working together or going on this journey together to make it out. That's one movie.
Okay.
Or, like you said, make it a movie where we're all behind it. Maybe, if you want to take from a Jennifer Lopez film, like The Cell, or if you want to take from like it's a terrorist attack, maybe the government or whatever it is have shot but didn't kill a guy who's planted a bomb in New York City or something like that. Or they've found a serial killer who they've captured, but he's in a coma because the cops like almost beat him senseless, but they found out, oh my god, a kid is still missing. We're on a ticking time clock. He's completely out. We have no way to wake him up to get this information. We need to send someone in. Now, this guy might be, you could have him be an ex-dream thief, or you can have him be someone who knows about this kind of stuff. So it is dangerous, because one cool thing that they establish in this film, which solves one of my problems, is they say, you can have security in your mind. You can train yourself to have mental security against people that would go in and break in and steal ideas from your mind. Now, in this film, this mental security is portrayed as faceless dudes who drive around on trucks and get tripped in James Bond levels of GoldenEye very easily. They're just like red shirts from Star Trek. They're like easily dispatched. But one cool thing that this movie set up that they really could have paid off is Leonardo DiCaprio introduces himself to Cillian Murphy's character in a bar as, I think it's like a Mr. Smith, essentially. He says, I'm your head of security in your mind. You set me up in here to protect you, which is interesting that he's tricking him to pretend that he's his own security officer. But what would have been cooler is what about if there really is a head of security in his mind that's there to protect? Now, we have the face of our villain. You know, we've got our own villain, whatever, if he's a terrorist or a serial killer, whoever it is, he has his own security in his mind. And this head of security has a face. He is our villain. He's smart. He's trained, he knows how these thieves work, and is at them at every turn. So now we have an interesting protagonist to play, or antagonist, to play against our team of protagonists, and they're trained and are just as good as our team. So now we have a tit-or-tat in this heist, in this action movie, in a dream world.
See, there's so many ways to slice this cat. Now, what if, since this is all about going into other people's dreams, we have this group, it's kind of like, let's say, make it a heist film, right? You've got these Ocean's 11 dream explorers, these dream thieves, right? And they're like going into this place, except introduce the concept that maybe while they're incepting someone else and trying to go after that, they themselves are being intercepted by another faction of dream thieves, and now they're playing a cat and mouse game through God knows whose head.
If you want to do it like this Ghostbuster beginning, where you've got these characters have invented this way to go into dreams, you could have that one of this original team kind of broke off, kind of like a golden eye, for England, James, and he ends up being a bad guy. Well,
he like disappears and then he comes back, exactly.
And he kind of tries to start his own dream team.
But we don't know that. We don't know. He just
that.
comes back at a certain point, and we're like, oh, we found you in the depths of someone's brain. Actually, he has created his own
team to come in. So what we have is our team is in this dream, whatever it is. Maybe this government or group has hired them to come in and do this Inception, but what he doesn't realize is that they hedged their bets and hired two teams to go in.
Yes.
So we have, Cobb's team going in, and then he realizes halfway through, well, this is a little too familiar, how this dream is set up, or how these walls look. This is a style, or this type of room is a style that, oh my God, and then, we have the other dream team.
Right,
there.
and it's like he thought that he was in his head, in his dream, but he's actually in somebody else's.
You can do,
stuff like that. It's like, or the other way around. He thought he was in somebody else's, and then he realizes that they're all in his head, and it's like, oh God, that guy is dangerous. He can cause serious damage to my brain.
Right. Now you actually have some threat there to actual, if something bad happens to you, might happen to you in real life. Not this, if you die in here, you go to limbo or whatever that is.
So what's the difference between, any of these options that we've kind of thrown up? Because we have a million of them, right?
That's the biggest thing with this movie. The idea of dream thievery.
Yes.
And going into dreams and trying to get ideas or incepting, it is like a golden egg of ideas that you could sit around a table and come up with a litany of amazing ideas.
Yeah.
The problem is
the way that they sliced it, in the millions of ways that they sliced it, the wonder is lost besides the visual splendor, and the people don't have a lot of imagination, and we don't really care about them at all. And there's very little heart, and I don't like the characters that are going along the story that I'm supposed to care so much about, and regardless of how many levels of dreams or how cool it looks and all that kind of stuff.
And that might be the really big punch-up overall, is, if you give us characters that we can love and attach to, have some heart, actually really feel for where they're going, and have a mission that us as an audience can get behind. They've got to win. They've got to beat that clock before it runs out. If you can do those two things, Mr. Nolan, you can sell me your movie tickets any day of the week. I will be there. And that's something we would have loved to see out of Inception and hope to see going forward for movies like it. All right, guys, so that was our punch-up for Inception, and now that'll take us into our game, Blockbuster Smash-Up.
Smash, 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 smash,
Smash, smash, smash,
Gorgeous.
It really soothes me to sleep. I take some tea.
Your own singing.
My own singing.
Do you record yourself and then play it back, or do you sing while you're about to go to sleep?
I sing while I'm about to go to sleep, and before I get to the I just I'm
just
out.
drift. It's like
a-
it's like counting back from 10 when you've got
yeah,
the,
people count sheep. I sing, just hymns to myself as I slowly
it's
pass
like you
out.
incept sleep
I
in
do.
your own brain.
Because you know what they say, if you think about sleep, you're never going to go to sleep.
That's
you know?
right. But if you think about like Cherubi Castrati Choir Boy,
then you just go right out, guys.
I go right out.
I mean, if there's one tip to take away from this podcast episode,
it's children's choir sends you to
children's choirs
sleep.
will send you to sleep. It's really important. So, guys, this takes us into our game segment, Blockbuster Smash-Up. It's the game where Todd and I will each pick a film to smash together, one film being a globally accepted bad film,
Smash!
and one being a globally accepted good film.
Smash!
So for this episode, I'm going to be doing the globally accepted bad film.
Oh, that means I have the globally accepted good film.
You do, Todd.
I know exactly which film I'm going to do, and I've known for weeks.
Excellent. All right, guys, so on the count of 3, we'll smash these together.
Smash.
1, 2, 3,
The
double
Truman
team.
Show. Oh,
my
dude!
God.
I love Double Team.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's like the best worst movie ever.
Dennis Rodman and Jean-Claude Van Damme team up.
Holy moly! I love Double Team.
And Truman Show is so great.
This is gonna be strange.
This is super weird. Oh my god.
Okay, so Jean-Claude
Okay.
Van Damme grows up
So Jean-Claude Van Damme.
never knowing.
So Jean-Claude Van Damme grows up never knowing that he's on a television
His
show.
life is all of the action movies he's ever done.
So
it's all part of a television.
So it's not he's living like a mundane life. Right. Jean-Claude Van Damme is living a full-scale action life all the time, but he doesn't realize that it's just badly scripted action TV.
He plays on the TV show.
Yep.
He plays an actor who plays in bad action movies.
So he plays Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He plays Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh my god.
So basically Jean-Claude Van Damme is a creation of a television show for our entertainment.
Right.
Because that's what Jean-Claude Van Damme is.
So what it was
He's
is...
directly for our entertainment.
Oh, absolutely.
And his best friend in the world
is Dennis Rodman.
You
know what? This is a dated TV show that has gone. It was created in the 90s when Dennis Rodman was huge. And when this is right off the heels of like action movies
and movies where it was just like, what? It's fake? Oh, the world,
Whoa.
right? And so Dennis Rodman is his best friend in the world, and after a while, Jean-Claude Van Damme starts to figure this out. Strange things start to happen. He starts to see his face on, I guess he is an actor, so he would see his face on billboards, but he would see like strange, things where his world starts to unravel a little bit. One day he's on the set of his film, and above the rafters where hang lots of lights falls a light.
And he finds this to be completely normal.
From an exterior set, different from the set that he's already on.
So he's on a set within a set, much like a dream.
That's right.
Within a dream.
Jean-Claude Van Damme's Inception. That's what the show is called.
and Dennis Rodman has decided to go against the will of the studio.
Of the creator.
So now they must fight the studio within the studio.
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 In order to explain to his friend, look, Jean-Claude Van Damme, you're an actor. Yes, I know. No, you're an actor on a television show.
I know this, Dennis Rodman.
I know, I'm an actor. My name is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
But you're not really Jean-Claude Van Damme.
What is my name then?
Come on.
Where did my accent go?
What has happened?
What is my name?
Your name is actually Roger Filtenstein. And we've got to get you out of here, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, Roger, if you trust me, if you trust Dennis Rodman.
Is that your real name, Dennis Rodman?
It's not. It's Marianne Cotillard. But we've got to go.
I'm actually a figment inside your brain, but we've got to go. And then just from the rafters, people descend with guns and skis. There's no snow. There's just skis.
There's just skis for
and
some
camouflage reason. that camouflages and into nothing. And basically they're being chased around the studio, within the studio, and they escape on a giant ship where they sail out into the ocean and they think that they're home free.
Except they break through another drywall into another ocean. And then Jean-Claude looks over at Dennis Rodman and says, Are we still on the set? And Dennis Rodman just looks at him. And then in the background, right before it goes to black, we see a light fixture drop out of the sky, and then it just cuts to black.
Dennis Rodman says, I'm not sure anymore. And the movie is called Double Show.
Double Show.
The Double Show.
It is called The Double Show because it is a show within a show.
Within a show. Starring Robert Finkelstein as Jean-Claude Van Damme.
As Jean-Claude Van Damme.
And Marion Cotillard as
Dennis
Rodman.
The role she was born
Dennis
to
Rodman.
play.
That's right. She's a chameleon.
I mean, she can play
She
anybody.
can play anything, especially Dennis Rodman.
Especially Dennis
come on.
Rodman. The most difficult of acting chops required.
That's the second Oscar.
All right, so that was our Blockbuster Smash-Up. If you'd like to see a chart to figure out exactly how that worked,
We have a flow chart, of the different dream zones and the different studio zones. You
within-
can look it up on the website.
on the web, definitely just
Absolutely.
search Marion Cotillard is Dennis Rodman, and you'll absolutely find these charts.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around.
Yeah.
It's one and the same, really.
That's right.
So, guys, that was episode 12 of Blockbuster Punch-Up and our review of Inception. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. Please leave us a review or any comments on iTunes. It really helps people find the show. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com.
Do it.
That's ARC with a C.
With a C.
With us, of course, you can email us any questions at blockbusterpunchup@gmail.com.
Gmail.
Your recommendations for fake Jean-Claude Van Damme's next film is your theories about whether Dennis Rodman really is Marianne Cotillard. I mean, we want all of it. And, of course, let us know what other punch-ups you might have had for Inception. We'd love to hear them. Please follow us on Twitter at partialarc or check us out on Facebook. And, of course, you can follow Todd on Twitter and Instagram at TG11. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode of Blockbuster Punch-Up.
Let's go home.